How did your husband ask you to marry him? Did you say yes immediately?
I guess I did. My name is Leora Beitzel. I was born February 13th, 1921. I was born in a town called Humbert, Pennsylvania. And then when I was 8 years old, we moved to Accident, Maryland, and I lived there till 1955.
How many children did your mom have?
She had 8, 4 boys and 4 girls. I was the second one. There was one older than me.
And you said you have 10 children?
I have 10. I have 6 girls and 4 boys. Florence, Esther, Janet, Dean, Dale, Connie, Linda, Harry, Steve, and Teresa.
Wow. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. You did that all by hand?
Uh-huh.
Wow. So do you still drive?
Mm-hmm.
And you're 90.
4.
You're 94 and you still drive.
I was 8 years old when my dad bought that farm in Accident. Everybody had a certain job to do. It was mostly you done what needed to be done. The girls, we always had to wash the dishes. And if we didn't get them washed before we went to school in the morning, we washed them when we got home from school. So our mother didn't do that. That was one of our jobs. She didn't do it for us. For a while we had some sheep, but we didn't keep sheep very long. I don't really know why. We had 6 cows and 2 horses. And what I had to do was mostly carry the milk from in the barn to the milk house and pour it in a tank. We grew our own vegetables in the garden and helped make hay in the summertime. And we had to husk corn. When the corn ears, the corn out in the field you cut the corn and put it in shocks. And then when it got dry, then you had to husk corn. So that was a job to husk all that corn. We picked blackberries and blueberries and wild strawberries. In the wintertime, we'd have beans that got dry on the pod that was like soup beans, and my mother would take them in. You'd pick them when the pods were dry and take them in, and then in the wintertime she'd empty a lot of them beans in the wash tub, and we'd sit around the wash tub and shell beans till we got all shelled. Those dry beans like you buy now, soup beans you buy in packages now. We had to shell ours and put them in bags. And then in the summer, we'd pick potatoes, or whenever people dug potatoes, pick potatoes and sold them. If we picked more than what my mother wanted to can, then we'd sell them. You had to take a potato that had eyes, they call it eyes, where they get sprouts on, where you had to cut the potatoes so there was at least one eye in each piece, and those pieces you planted in the ground. And we had to plant potatoes in the spring, and then in the fall when the plants got little potatoes on, my dad would take the horses and plow through there, and we had to go pick up the potatoes. And I hated that job. I hated to plant potatoes too. We always had to do that at home. I didn't like that job either, but you done stuff that you didn't like to do to get a little bit of money. Money was not plentiful. It was good, but it was hard work. Most people lived on a farm, raised their own pigs, and we didn't butcher any cows when we lived on the farm, but we always had pigs and chickens. If you wanted to have chicken for Sunday dinner, whenever you wanted to have chicken, just go out and catch a chicken, chop its head off, dip it down in hot water and pick the feathers off of it. You had to put them in really hot water to get the feathers loose, and then you'd pick the feathers off of them and cut them up.
So would you say it was easier to live on a farm during the Depression because you already had all your meat and vegetables and stuff like that?
Yeah, it probably was, because you had your own milk and cream and planted garden. But there were things, gasoline was rationed and some other sugar, and I can't remember what else. But I guess it went by how many was in the family as to how much sugar you got for, I don't remember, you got stamps that you used. And I can't remember. I know gasoline was rationed because you only was allowed to have so much. My grandfather, you know, he'd go around with the thresh machine and thresh the oats and grain that farmers raised, but some of them people, he said, would just give him chicken or something to pay, didn't have money to pay for it. No, they never did, not that I remember of. Well, she used home remedies. If we had sore throat, to put, I'm not sure what you put, grease something on your neck and wrap a sock around your neck. If you had a cold, you got Vicks on your chest and put some kind of a cloth on your chest, and they made some kind, my dad made, it was called Pennyroyal tea for, I don't know if that was for, if you had a stomach ache. It wasn't good tea anyway. We drank a lot of peppermint tea. Now people have tea bags to make their tea, but we picked peppermint and made tea out of that. It grew along streams, and we didn't have tea that came out of a tea bag when we were growing up. My mother made dresses for us made out of feed sacks. My dad would buy, when he had all those turkeys, he bought a lot of turkey feed, and the turkey food came in print bags, you know, so we girls would get to go when Dad went to the store to buy turkey feed, so we could pick out the print that we wanted for dresses. But before they made print turkey food, it came in bags that had letters and stuff on. So my mother would wash that and use, you know, when all the print came out of the bags, she'd use that to make sheets and pillowcases. It took 4 of those bags to make a sheet, and you made a pillowcase out of one bag. They were cotton feed sacks, so it was about like material that you buy now, but you know, you got that and didn't have to pay anything extra to get the material. We usually had 2 pair of shoes, one pair that we wore for school or whatever, and then we had a different pair of shoes that we only would wear when we went to church or went somewhere.
When you did your farm work, did you wear shoes or did you do it barefoot?
We done it barefoot in the summer, and sometimes when it was frosty, it was kind of cold. When we'd go to get the cows were laying down. We'd go to get them and bring them into the barn, and the cows would get up, so it was warm where they were laying, so we'd stand there with our bare feet and warm them up a little bit. We played hopscotch and we played checkers a lot, but we didn't have a TV. Well, in the wintertime we'd go sled riding, but you know, we usually had work to do. In the summer, when the grass was growing in the yard, the garden, there wasn't a fence around our garden, so we'd let the cows in the yard to eat grass, and then some of us had to stand there and watch the cows so they wouldn't get in the garden and eat what was in the garden. I can't even remember it. I know one time I guess I got a doll baby. I got a doll baby carriage, but I don't know how old I was when I got that. I remember that because I had that for a long time. But I don't know. I think mostly we got clothes. And I know we always got oranges at Christmas because that was something, you know, you didn't go to the store every day and buy oranges back then. At least we didn't.
Well, I appreciate you giving up your whole afternoon for me.
Well,
I got here at 11 o'clock. It's now 2 o'clock, and it doesn't even seem like I've been here very long.
I know it doesn't seem like it.
Time went by fast.
Yeah. Well, they always say time goes by fast when you're
Having fun, huh?
Yeah.
Cheese.